Imagine your parents telling you, go steal some food. Sounds crazy, right? Now imagine getting punished, not for stealing, but for getting caught. Welcome to ancient Sparta, a city where boys weren't raised to have an easy childhood. They were raised to survive. Most children in ancient Greece lived with their families. They learned reading, music, sports, and everyday skills. But Spartan boys had a very different life. When they turned 7 years old, they left home, not for a weekend, not for summer camp.
Forever, they entered
Sparta's famous military training system. From that moment, the city became their family. Their teachers
became soldiers,
and childhood was officially over. Life was tough. Life inside the training camp was anything but comfortable. The boys slept on simple beds made from reeds. They gathered themselves. They often walked barefoot. Their clothes were thin. Even during cold weather, every challenge had one purpose: to make them stronger. The Spartans believed that comfort created weakness, hardship created warriors. But perhaps the hardest challenge was the food. The boys received only small meals, just enough to survive, never enough to feel full. Imagine training every day while your stomach never stopped growling. Why would anyone do that? Because Sparta wanted its future soldiers to learn something more important than eating. It wanted them to become resourceful. And that's when the strange rule appeared. The instructors expected the boys to steal food, bread, cheese, fruit, whatever they could quietly take. But there was one condition: never get caught. If a boy stole successfully, some instructors admired his skill. But if he was discovered, he was punished. Not because stealing was wrong, because getting caught showed carelessness. To the Spartans, a good soldier needed to move silently, think quickly, and escape unnoticed. Stealth was part of survival. One story became famous across the ancient world. According to the Greek writer Plutarch, a Spartan boy once stole a young fox. Suddenly, adults approached. Instead of dropping the animal, he hid it beneath his cloak. The frightened fox began biting and clawing at him. The pain must have been unbearable. But the boy refused to cry out. He stood perfectly still. The story says the fox injured him so badly that he died. Is that really what happened? Nobody knows for certain. Many historians believe the story was probably exaggerated to teach a lesson about Spartan endurance. But whether true or legendary, it tells us how the Spartans wanted people to think about themselves. Why teach this? So, why would any society train children this way? Because Sparta was unlike almost every other Greek city. Its entire culture revolved around war. Every citizen was expected to defend the city. Spartan armies became famous throughout the ancient world. Their discipline frightened enemies. Their reputation spread across Greece. Every lesson during childhood was designed to prepare boys for one question:
could you survive
when everything went wrong? If food disappeared, could you find more? If you were surrounded, could you escape unnoticed? Stealing wasn't the goal. Survival was, Was Sparta really perfect, despite its legendary reputation? Life in Sparta wasn't perfect. Many people living there were not full Spartan citizens. A large population, known as the Helots, worked the land and produced much of the food. Their forced labor allowed Spartan citizens to spend so much time training for war. This system was harsh and often brutal. So while Sparta admired courage and discipline, its society also depended on inequality. History is rarely as simple as legend, fact versus legend. Modern historians still debate many stories about Sparta. Ancient writers often admired Spartan discipline. Others criticized it. Some stories were
Probably true.
Others may have grown more dramatic over the centuries. That makes Sparta fascinating. It sits somewhere between history and legend. So, did Spartan boys really steal food? Ancient sources say yes. Were they punished for getting caught? Again, the evidence points that way, but perhaps the biggest lesson isn't about stealing at all. It's about how different societies can have completely different ideas about what makes a child ready for adulthood. For Sparta, the answer was simple: discipline, courage, endurance, and never getting caught. What do you think?
Would you survive?
A single week in the Spartan camp? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoy uncovering the strange, surprising, and unbelievable stories hidden in history, subscribe to Thinking Pencil, because history is far stranger than fiction.